Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. So the last update about Unfortunate Love was how Vikrant confessed to Rishi that he actually has a girlfriend and he challenged Rishi to stop him from getting married to Lakshmi. Then Rishi and Lakshmi got stuck at the outhouse, and then let's continue from there. Vikrant and Virendra comes to the outhouse. Ayush also comes there. They see the things in front of the outhouse broken and they try to move it. Ayush says they should break the wall. Vikrant says it could be dangerous and says that what if Lakshmi is at the other side? Virendra says no, the wall should not be broken. Ayush looks inside and shouted sister-in-law. Karishma asks Neelam to have strength and says nothing will happen to Rishi. Neelam worries, saying the priest words, and says that Rishi is mad about saving Lakshmi and he can go to anywhere to save her. Karishma asks, are you sure that Rishi is there? Neelam says you have seen it with your eyes and says that Rishi can go to any length to save Lakshmi. Ayush, Virendra and Vikrant get inside the outhouse from the window. Ayush moves the pillars, shouting sister-in-law, and he finds Lakshmi's palo. He then finds Rishi's phone. They have a sign of relief and they think that Rishi and Lakshmi will be safe together, and Vikrant looks on shocked. Ayush says to Virendra that what if Rishi and Lakshmi had already gone home? Vikrant thinks that Rishi doesn't leave Lakshmi even for a minute. He says to Ayush that they were not at home and we did not see them on the way. Ayush says let's search for them, and they begins to search for them. Sonia tells Neelam and others that Lakshmi did this intentionally and she made Grandma feel guilty. Malishka says I don't know why the family members make Lakshmi great as if she is God. Ayush, Vikrant and Virendra are searching for Lakshmi and Rishi, but Rishi and Lakshmi are hiding in the cupboard. Rishi and Lakshmi both think to take less oxygen and stop breathing for a while so that the other person can have enough oxygen. They did not tell each other. Rishi owed Lakshmi's hand and says in his heart that Lakshmi should breathe because he knows that she is not breathing, and Lakshmi also thinks the same in her heart. Rishi says in his heart that he loves Lakshmi and he wants to know if Lakshmi also loves him. Lakshmi says in her heart that what should she say? Grandma prays to God for Rishi and Lakshmi. Malishka tells Sonia that Rishi should have switched on his phone by now because how can they know where he is? Neelam says to Malishka that Rishi must be with that inauspicious girl. Karishma says I will call Virendra to know if they have found Rishi yet. She calls Virendra and asks if Rishi is found. Virendra says no, they did not find Rishi, but he found Rishi's phone. Neelam asks Virendra that where is Rishi and Lakshmi? Virendra says I don't know, but the condition is bad here. The windows, the doors and the walls are falling down and everything is messed up. Neelam cries and says she wanted to go there, but Karishma and Grandma stopped her. Virendra says to Neelam that you know that when Rishi and Lakshmi are together, then nothing would happen to them. Neelam says what can we do when Lakshmi's destiny is bad? Virendra says our blessings are with them. And Jana asks them not to worry and says Vikrant is very brave and he will not let anything happen to them. Lakshmi in her heart says Rishi asks Lakshmi in his heart to talk. Lakshmi says in her heart, Rishi, she then faint. Ayush looks at the cupboard and he is walking towards it, but the pillar is about to fall on him. Vikrant holds the pillar and saves Ayush, and Ayush and Virendra thanks Vikrant. Ayush tells Vikrant and Virendra that he doubts that Rishi and Lakshmi are in the cupboard. Virendra says but how would they breathe? Vikrant says there is no way to go out, so they should check because the cupboard is still on its place, though everything is messed up. Ayush opens the cupboard door and finds Rishi and Lakshmi unconscious and he is shocked. Vikrant and Ayush tries to make Rishi and Lakshmi come back to their consciousness. Rishi regains consciousness and asks Lakshmi to get up. He says there was less oxygen here, so Lakshmi was not breathing for me. Rishi says I will take Lakshmi and he lifted Lakshmi and take her away from there, and Vikrant gets upset. Ayush and Virendra come home. Neelam asks that where is Rishi? Saloni asks that where is Lakshmi? They see Rishi bringing the unconscious Lakshmi there. Saloni worries for Vikrant and she asks him if he is fine. Grandma thanks God for keeping Rishi and Lakshmi safe. Rishi takes Lakshmi to the bedroom and says I will call the doctor, but Vikrant says that he have already called the doctor. Rishi says to everyone that Lakshmi made everything fine and she saved me again. Neelam asks Rishi to go to his room and rest. Rishi says until Lakshmi regains consciousness, I will be here and I will not go anywhere, and Neelam looks on. Grandma asks if Lakshmi is fine. Virendra says both Rishi and Lakshmi are safe. A big mishap has happened. Then also they are safe due to God. Rishi says he is fine because of Lakshmi and says Lakshmi gave me a new life again. Neelam asks Rishi that why did you go there? Rishi recalls Lakshmi saving him and he recalls telling her that he is nothing without her because she is a life savior for him. Lakshmi says Rishi says you are a life savior for me. He says I will lift you. Lakshmi says no, don't lift me, and they walk holding each other's hand, but Lakshmi's palu gets stuck. Rishi frees Lakshmi's palu and throws the thumb piece on the floor. The roof breaks and falls down. Rishi and Lakshmi sit in the cupboard and the flashback ends. Rishi says to Neelam that Lakshmi saved me again. Neelam says your life was in danger because you went there and says you shouldn't have gone there. Rishi says you want to say that I shouldn't have gone there and saved Lakshmi. Neelam says if you haven't gone there, then this situation wouldn't have happened. Grandma asks Neelam not to argue and says both Rishi and Lakshmi are fine, so there is no problem. The doctor comes there. Rishi tells the doctor that they were stuck in the place where there was less oxygen, so Lakshmi did not breathe so that he can breathe, and Lakshmi fainted. The doctor gives Rishi the medicine and says this is a 3-day course and Lakshmi should complete it. The doctor asks them not to gather there and let Lakshmi breathe, and the doctor leaves. Ayush asks everyone to go and says Rishi will be with Lakshmi. Vikrant says I will stay here. Neelam asks Rishi to let Vikrant stay with Lakshmi because Vikrant is Lakshmi's will-be husband, but Rishi refused. Neelam takes Rishi away from there forcefully and Vikrant sits near Lakshmi and recalls Rishi's words, and Ayush also goes. Outside the room, Neelam asks Rishi if he is fine. Rishi says he is not fine. Neelam asks that why didn't you tell the doctor that you are not fine? Rishi asks that what should I tell the doctor when the doctor cannot even make me fine? Neelam says to Rishi that I don't know what has happened to you. You don't talk to me the right way. Rishi says even you don't talk to me right. He says you could have stopped this from happening. Neelam thinks if Rishi knows about the priest's words. Rishi asks that why did you send Lakshmi there? Neelam says Lakshmi insisted to go and she went there, and Neelam asks Rishi to rest. Karishma tells Neelam that the incident was big, and Jana praises that Vikrant has brought Rishi and Lakshmi back safely. Ayush comes there and says Vikrant did not do anything, and he tells them that Rishi and Lakshmi have saved each other like always. He says they will never let anything happen to each other. Grandma says that Rishi and Lakshmi got the strength to save each other always. Malishka thinks that why is Grandma making Lakshmi and Rishi's bond great? Karishma takes Ayush to a side and asks that why is he saying all this in front of Lakshmi's in-laws, and she asks if he did not feel ashamed. Ayush says to Karishma that it is the matter of shame that we are letting Lakshmi marry Vikrant, who is a fraud even after knowing the truth. He says we should drown in a shallow water and die. Karishma thinks that once Lakshmi goes away from here, then she would undo Ayush. Grandma cries and says if anything had happened to Lakshmi or Rishi, then Virendra says it is our mistake that we did not get the outhouse repaired. Vikrant's father thanks Virendra and says your son saved our daughter-in-law. Malishka gets angry and says everyone mentions Rishi and Lakshmi and nobody is talking about Rishi and Malishka. Vikrant gets up to drink water. Lakshmi recalls the outhouse incident and she regains consciousness and she runs away from there. Vikrant sees Lakshmi running out and he goes behind her. Rishi thinks of Vikrant's words that the video was deleted by his girlfriend and that he has an affair. Lakshmi comes there and calls Rishi and Rishi hugs Lakshmi worriedly. Lakshmi is also worried for Rishi and she asks if Rishi is fine. Rishi says he is fine and he asks if Lakshmi is also fine. Lakshmi says yes. They cry and hug each other again. Malishka sees Vikrant going to Rishi's room and she calls him. Vikrant is about to see Rishi and Lakshmi hugging each other, but Malishka asks him that what is he doing here. Vikrant says to Malishka that Lakshmi regained consciousness and she came to Rishi's room. Malishka says we should check. They come inside and sees Rishi sitting on the bed and Lakshmi standing and asking Rishi if he is fine. Rishi says he is fine. Vikrant says to Lakshmi that I was with you, but you came here. Lakshmi says I came here for Rishi and says I came to see if Rishi is fine or not. Malishka asks Lakshmi to stop worrying for Rishi and says that she is with him and Vikrant is with you. She says Vikrant will take care of you and she asks Lakshmi to go to her room. She asks if Lakshmi is fine and then says what am I asking? You must be fine and that is why you came here. Vikrant says to Malishka that I will go from here and says that he doesn't want to be the third party and says you both might want to hug each other after this incident, and Vikrant goes away from there with Lakshmi. Malishka asks Rishi. She says, today, you have talked to me so romantically, and says that when he loves her so much, then why does he go behind Lakshmi? And Rishi says he was taking care of his love. Malishka asks Rishi that what does he mean by he is taking care of his love. She asks if Rishi was accusing Vikrant so that Lakshmi can stay here always. Rishi says he has always seen Vikrant with a girl in the guest room, and he asks her to believe him. Malishka says when your own parents don't believe you, then how can you expect me to believe you? Malishka says to Rishi that Lakshmi is coming between them. Rishi says no, it is you that is coming between me and Lakshmi. He then changes his words. Malishka asks Rishi to mark his words and says that Lakshmi will marry Vikrant and you will marry me. Vikrant asks Lakshmi if she is fine, and Lakshmi nods. Vikrant says to Lakshmi that thank God that Rishi saved you, else I don't know what would have happened to me. He tells Lakshmi that he loves her. Lakshmi is surprised and she recalls Rishi's words. Vikrant asks if Lakshmi did not like what he said and says I got emotional. He asks if Lakshmi is thinking about Rishi's words and about Rishi's accusations on him and says that it is not true. Vikrant says to Lakshmi that if I had loved someone else, then I would have married that girl and my family would not refuse. He says now I love you and I will not marry anyone else. He says I know Rishi take care of you and he is your good friend, but Rishi should not accuse anyone of such horrible thing. Vikrant says to Lakshmi that if you come to see me off, then I will feel good, but if you are not well, then you can rest. He thinks that Lakshmi has gotten engaged to him, but that doesn't mean that Lakshmi doesn't trust Rishi, and he thinks that Rishi might provoke Lakshmi against him, so he would have to do something about Rishi very soon. Vikrant comes downstairs, and Jana asks if Lakshmi is fine. Just then, Lakshmi comes there, and Jana and Grandma praises Lakshmi's values, and Jana says Vikrant and Lakshmi are made for each other, and Saloni says yes, and Vikrant thanks Lakshmi for coming to see him off. Malishka gets irritated and thinks that why is nobody seeing Lakshmi's true face. Vikrant asks Neelam not to scold Rishi and says I feel that Rishi has a misunderstanding about me and I also overreacted as well, and Anjana says that nobody should have any misunderstanding. Vikrant says that nobody should have any misunderstanding because I love just only one girl, and that is Lakshmi. Rishi thinks that Lakshmi deserves happiness and he will take up the responsibility to give Lakshmi happiness that she truly deserves. Rishi thinks that Lakshmi fainted before she could tell him her feelings. He thinks of what to do. He thinks that he should see Vikrant first, and he thinks that nobody is believing him, not even Lakshmi. He thinks to expose Vikrant and breaks Lakshmi's alliance with him by all means. Grandma blames herself for sending Lakshmi there. Lakshmi asks Grandma that why are you saying this? Grandma asks Lakshmi to punish her. Neelam asks Grandma that why are you feeling bad? It was Lakshmi's destiny. Grandma says I became the medium for sending Lakshmi there, and she asks Lakshmi to punish her. Lakshmi says to Grandma that I returned back safely because of your blessings. Grandma gives Lakshmi promise to punish herself, and Lakshmi says you will be punished for giving me this promise, and Lakshmi asks Grandma to bless her always and says that is her punishment. Grandma gets emotional and she asks Lakshmi. Virendra smiles and Neelam looks on. Grandma stops Rishi. Rishi asks if she will beat him. Grandma says you have saved me from doing a sin, and she thanks Rishi for saving Lakshmi. Rishi says everything gets fine with your blessings. He says all of you are doing one mistake and says that Vikrant is having an affair, and even Vikrant accepted this in front of me. Neelam asks Rishi that why didn't you bring Vikrant in front of us to prove to us that he is having an affair. Rishi recalls seeing Lakshmi going to the outhouse and how he goes behind her. Neelam says you don't have any answer. She says that she doesn't want to say anything and says that Lakshmi will marry Vikrant and then Rishi will marry Malishka, and that is fine now. Neelam says to Rishi that Vikrant is a thorough gentleman and he asks us not to say anything to you even after you accused him. She asks Rishi to let this marriage happen and says Lakshmi will be very happy with Vikrant, so Rishi should not hinder Lakshmi's happiness. Rishi says to Neelam that Vikrant is a liar and I will not let him marry Lakshmi. Virendra also refused to believe Rishi and he goes. Grandma tells Rishi that she wants to trust him, but there's nothing in her hands. She asks Lakshmi to go and rest. Lakshmi recalls Rishi's words about Vikrant and she goes away from there. but Rishi is adamant to expose Vikrant. Okay guys, thank you guys so much for watching. Please don't forget to like this video, share it, and I'll see you all again in my next video. Bye guys.